Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today's build is another Void Knight, but this one does not revolve around Smite or any melee. This is another spell Void Knight, but will be completely based around Devouring Orb. Devouring Orb is going to be doing almost all of our damage. We are going to have the cooldown reduced, so there's a lot of stutter stepping, but we also have Shield Rush in the build, so once you've summoned some of the orbs, you can literally just Shield Rush speed run through the entire map, and all the orbs will kill everything as you just speed run through it. And then we also have Abyssal Echoes, which is going to do a lot of single target damage for us. Now the Devouring Orbs do great single target as well, so that with the Abyssal Echoes together, we'll be able to take out rares and bosses extremely quickly. Now, some things you might be worried about with this build is you're asking, do I have to have a ton of mana regeneration? The answer is no, unless you go with a crafted staff. Now, this does revolve around using the Omnividence staff, which has a lot of negative void spell cost. By having that on there, you don't need any mana regen, although some will help you be able to spam Abyssal Echoes more, but you don't need it. It is recommended that if you don't have this staff, you are going to need either some void mana efficiency for spells on your idols, and you're going to want -3 cost on the staff, and then you are going to want to build into some mana regeneration, but it would still be possible. If you don't have the staff, it'll be difficult, but it would be doable. Alright, let's go ahead and get into the skills, the interactions, and just how this works. For skills, I'm running Shield Rush, Abyssal Echoes, Sigils of Hope, Anomaly, and Devouring Orb. None of these skills have plus levels on gear, however, due to the Omni Staff, all void spells do have +1 levels, so that's where the +1 comes on some of these. For Shield Rush, we have this set up. The only thing that matters with Shield Rush is that you basically don't have to use a shield in order to use it. So we put 2 points into Consuming Path, 1 point into Dark Rush, so that you no longer have to have a shield. You are wearing a two-handed staff, so this node is mandatory. After that, you don't use any melee damage, so the actual DPS tooltip of Shield Rush is basically diddly squat. You're not going to do any damage with it. The two things that will do damage, though, we put 1 point in Descent of the Void and Dark Regression. The void beams that come down actually scale with almost all of the damage that we're scaling for this build. Void, spell damage, vitality, added spell damage because of the vitality. All of that kind of scales very well with it, and therefore the beams still have like a 10 to a 20k damage tooltip, which is very powerful. So those are the only two things you really want to come with on top of converting it to a shield. After that, the 6 points in Rush Mastery and 2 points in for the Protective Speed, for the damage taken being reduced and your mana efficiency being reduced so that you can cast it more often and then at the same time take less damage. That's about where all the points that you need go. After that, you can put them anywhere. So I've got 2 points in Void Breaker, 2 points in Warrior's Entrance, 1 point in Echoes of the Charge, and 1 point in Critical Echo, with the final one in Stretch Time. Again, all those points don't really matter. The reduced damage, reduced mana cost, the Void Beams, and then of course making it to where you don't have to wear a shield. That's all that matters with it. After that, put them anywhere that you like. For Abyssal Echoes, we have this set up to go off where we target, go off multiple times, do Armor Shred, and then of course we're also going to make it not have a cooldown, so when it comes to bosses, we can just spam it on them, and it'll almost double our DPS on rares and bosses when we attack them. So we've got 2 points in Deep Expanse, 1 point in Vorpal Explosion. This makes it to where it no longer chains, but it does 80% more damage. 1 point in Screaming Rifts. This now creates an Abyssal Rift wherever you are targeting, and then that Abyssal Rift will cast Abyssal Echoes for you 3 times at that target location. And then we've got 2 points in Shrieking Echoes so that it will actually cast it now 5 times instead of 3. So you're actually having 5 Abyssal Echoes go off with just 1 cast. We have 5 points in Verbal Reverberation for that increased spell damage. That's flat. We got 1 point in Fiery Chasm, 1 point in Potent Corruption for that 20 more spell void, so you get a total of 70 added spell void damage to this skill inside the skill tree, which is a ton. 2 points in Rippling Corrosion for some Armor Shred stacks applied on each hit. 2 points in Tides of Rust, so that Armor Shred effect is increased. 1 point in Time Compression, this makes it not have a cooldown, but does increase the mana cost. And then 2 points in Abyssal Dispersion to reduce that mana cost. And you end up between 20 and 30 depending on whether you're wearing idols, but if you have Omni on, it does help reduce the cost even more. So you can get it somewhere between 20 and 30 mana cost, and it's not too bad. You should have enough of them to be able to spam it 4 or 5 times against a boss, and you can spam them just one after another on top of all your Devouring Orbs, and it's a ton of damage. For Sigils of Hope, this is 21 points. That's why it says -1. You actually do get +1 because it is a void spell. It's just not shown that in the build planner. We have 4 points in Empowering Sigils, 1 point in Last Wish, 3 points in Decree of Flame, 1 point in Sigils of Despair, 5 points in Iron Sigils, 5 points in Enduring Hope, 1 point in Tetragram, and 1 point in Meditation. For Anomaly, we have this set up to give us a bunch of Leech and Critical Strike increase. We are still doing hits with all of our spells. The Abyssal Echoes are doing hits, and your Devouring Orbs are doing hits, and the Abyssal Orbs from the Devouring Orbs are doing hits, and the Time Rifts from all of it are doing hits. So it's all hits. We're not really doing any dots with this build, so make sure to get as much Critical Strike chance as you can. We got 1 point in Void Touched, 1 point in Immediacy, 1 point in Time Bubble, 5 points in Temporal Mastery, 1 point in Time Lord, 1 point in Lingering Memory, 5 points in Decimation, 1 point in Manipulation, 2 points in Time Eater, and 3 points in Void Maul for all that extra Void Leech. For Devouring Orb, we have this set up to have the lowest cooldown possible. This will make you stutter step, but once you've spammed a few of them, that's why we have Shield Rush, so you can just kill everything as you Shield Rush through. On top of that, we do have some points in the Abyssal Orb, so you'll be casting those as well. We have the Eruption, and then of course we have the Orb hit damage for even more, as they now hit for quite a bit of damage. So we got 1 point in Dark Moon, so they will still orbit around us. 2 points in Abyssal Rush for some move speed, 1 point in Cosmic Impact for more void damage, 5 points in Extinction to give them 150% more hit damage, 2 points in Void Adept, 1 point in Hollow Orb, 1 point in Abyssal Emission, so that every single orb you have will cast out an Abyssal Orb every 3 seconds, 2 points in Dark Torrent will put that about to 2 seconds, so they'll cast down every 2 seconds. 1 point in Cataclysm, so whenever an orb dies or ends its duration, it now erupts, which gives it a whole bunch of time rifts. It does about 5 eruptions, and then each one of those will cause a time rift to come out. And then 5 points in Orb Master for that 150% cooldown recovery speed, so you can cast it every 1.5 seconds, or right in about that range. For passives, I've got 20 points in the Sentinel base class, with 2 points in Juggernaut, 8 points in Fearless, 5 points in Armor Clad, and 5 points in Valiant Charge. This is going to reduce the cooldown recovery speed of Shield Rush. However, you can definitely put this anywhere that you want. We got 0 points in the Forge Guard and 15 points in the Paladin, with 8 points in Defiance, 7 points in Valor, that's to unlock the Sigils, and then 78 points in the Mastered Void Knight, with 8 points in Abyssal Endurance, 6 points in Temporal Corruption, 6 points in World Eater, 8 points in Void Bolts, 1 point in Void Corruption, 5 points in Renouncement, 6 points in Future Mind, 10 points in Eternal Form, 10 points in Time Legion, 12 points in Dread, and 1 point in Avatar of Regret. For idols, items, uniques, and blessings. So for idols, there's a few of them that you can wear. You can have chance to apply Time Rot on hit. We don't do the Abyssal Decay anymore, so the duration doesn't help you, but I did want some Time Rot on hit. We don't really do damage over time, but it was just a 1x3 that seemed to fill the slot. You can definitely put in more 1x1s or 1x2s to get some more resistance if you need it, or anything else that you would like. For the 1x4s, you can get Spell Void Mana Efficiency on top of increased armor. A very good hybrid idol that's going to reduce the mana cost of your skills while giving you a bunch more survivability. And then for the 1x3, we have chance to gain inspiration when you kill an enemy with a void skill, which will be happening quite often. And what this will do is reduce the cooldown, or give you 20% cooldown recovery speed, which reduces the cooldown of Shield Rush, your Devouring Orbs, Anomaly, all of it by about, a little bit more, so that you'll be able to cast more Devouring Orbs. You'll be able to Shield Rush more often. It's very nice. And then this also has a suffix of chance to shred armor on melee hit. Of course, that's useless in this build, although Shield Rush does count as a melee hit, so it does have a little bit of effect, but basically not much. For uniques, we have 2 uniques on this build. We are wearing Omnividence, which you will need. It's almost mandatory, but not quite. This will reduce the mana cost of all your skills to a point where you don't need to build into mana regen basically at all. If you build into some mana regen on some items, it helps because you'll be able to spam Abyssal Echoes more. But overall, this staff pretty mandatory. You can run a 2-handed staff with this build, and just on your Devouring Orbs, you're going to want to take more of the mana efficiency in it. You're going to want to put mana regen on both rings, your belt, your relic. You might even have to not wear the Forgotten Knight amulet unique, and instead wear a Rhaegor amulet where you can craft tier 5 or higher mana regen, because mana will become somewhat of an issue at that point. And that is our other unique, which is the Locket of the Forgotten Knight. This gives us void damage, void critical strike chance, armor, and then of course it gives us that 15 to 20% chance to create a void rift when you hit an enemy. So every 2 seconds, because we do a ton of hits, every 2 seconds that's going to be going off. So it's just one more void rift that's being created. For all the other items, I'm just going to hover over them. Nothing too special. This will, of course, be in the description below, and the build planner will also be in the written guide. Same thing with the blessings. Nothing too special. Just basically get anything that you'd like. In our case, we went with more armor just for more survivability. Alright, for the character sheet, you can see we have just about 3,000 to life. We have almost all cap resist, just a little shy on fire, a little shy on physical. We have about 35% armor. This will greatly go up as you have your sigils active. In fact, we can go ahead and spam all 4 of those. And you can see it puts you at about 54% damage reduction. I also don't have the empowered version of the armor blessings on this character. That'll boost you up even more, where you can break the 60% damage reduction there. For our total damage, we have about 550% void. That's with the 4 sigils active. And then for defense, we are not capped on endurance, but we are capped on critical strike avoidance. So make sure that you definitely get up that last little bit of endurance if you can. It will make a difference. However, this build's pretty tanky and you kill most things at range, so it's not really a huge deal. We have gone quite a ways into empowered with it. So for how to play the build in skill rotation, I like to put Anomaly and Devouring Orbs on autocast. After that, make sure that you have your sigils active. Most of them will be procced automatically as you get kills from just running around. And then all you have to do is just run around. That's it. Now, right now, we're not going to be doing a ton of damage or getting a huge amount of rifts on the training dummy because, for one, its Abyssal Orbs are not proccing on it, and it's not considered an enemy. However, you can see that our orbs, when we are getting hits here, we're doing, anywhere from 10 to 20k crits on it. On top of that, our rifts on Explosion are doing some damage. The Eruption Time rifts are doing some damage. The Abyssal Orbs, which are not firing, would be doing some damage. And then we have the Abyssal Echoes. Like I said, you can cast these, so let's make sure nothing's touching it. And then I can cast the Abyssal Echoes, and I can throw down quite a few of these, and you can see the damage gets ridiculous on single target there. It's going nuts. We're doing up to 20k crits, and we had about 50 of them go off. Like I said, you can cast it a bunch of times. The more mana regen you have, our cost here is about 27. So we can get it about 5 or 6 times on that. Each one's going to do 5 hits. So we got 30 hits there that we spammed at about 2 seconds. And all 30 hits will be on top of your Devouring Orb hits. So it's just crazy, crazy single target damage for those rares and bosses, as you'll be able to see in the gameplay. And then, of course, all you have to do when you want to move through Echoes faster, just Shield Rush. You can go as far as you want in one direction with it. The beams will do a little bit of damage. The Devouring Orbs will continue to kill everything as you speed through it. So it's a really, really nice kind of playstyle with it to be able to speed run through those Echoes, and makes up for the stutter stepping that you'll do to cast all of the Devouring Orbs. Alright, that's going to be it for this build guide. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy some gameplay even more. As always, stay safe, travelers, and here's the gameplay.
Stand down, die.
Same chains, traveler. Why do you resist? All will be erased. Die. All will be erased. This means nothing. The